Imagine walking into a library and seeing books tied with heavy chains. Not one book, but every book locked to a table. Why did people chain books like prisoners? Welcome to Story of Simple Things TV, where we explore the stories behind everyday things. Today, we are going back hundreds of years to learn about a strange and interesting practice. Long ago, books were not free to carry home. In many libraries, books were tied with iron chains. Yes, real chains, just like the ones used to lock doors. But why did people do this? Were books dangerous? Or were they simply too valuable to lose? Let's discover the surprising story behind chained books. To understand this story, we must travel back to the Middle Ages. This was around 600 to 1,500 years ago. During this time, books were very rare. They were not printed by machines like today. Instead, books were written by hand. People called scribes copied every word slowly. They used ink, feathers, and special paper called parchment. This work took many weeks, sometimes even years. Because of this, books were very expensive. Only kings, rich people, churches, and universities could afford them. For common people, owning a book was almost impossible. Libraries existed, but they were very small. Each library had only a few books. Losing even one book was a big problem. So people started asking a question. How can we protect these valuable books? That is when the idea of chaining books was born. Books were chained to stop theft. At that time, stealing a book was easy. A person could simply pick it up and walk away. And since books were so valuable, thieves often tried to steal them. To solve this problem, librarians attached metal chains to the books. One end of the chain was fixed to the book cover. The other end was locked to a shelf, desk, or reading table. This allowed people to read the book, but not take it away. Readers could open the book and read it at the table. The chain was long enough to allow reading, but it was short enough to stop anyone from carrying the book outside. This system worked very well. Books stayed safe, and many people could still use them. Soon, chained books became common in many places. Churches were among the first to use this system. Religious books were very important, and they needed protection. Universities also used chained libraries. Students and teachers depended on books for learning, but there were not many copies available. By chaining books, libraries allowed people to share knowledge safely. More students could study without fear of books being stolen. Some famous libraries had hundreds of chained books. These libraries were called chained libraries. In these rooms, rows of books were tied with iron chains. The chains were fixed to wooden desks or shelves. The sight was both strange and impressive. Chained books reached their peak popularity between the 1400s and 1600s. During this time, many libraries across Europe used chains. Libraries became important centers of learning. Scholars traveled long distances to read these books. They sat at wooden tables, reading carefully while books stayed locked in place. Interestingly, books were placed on shelves differently than today. The front edge of the book faced outward. This made it easier to attach the chain to the book cover. Chains were usually fixed to the bottom corner of the book. This helped readers open the book easily without damaging it. At that time, chained books were seen as normal. People did not find them strange. For them, it was simply a smart way to protect valuable knowledge. But over time, something important changed. Around the 1400s, a new invention appeared, the printing press. This machine allowed books to be printed quickly. Instead of writing books by hand, printers could make many copies in a short time. Books slowly became cheaper. More people could afford them. Libraries also started getting more copies of the same book. Since books were no longer rare, chaining them became less necessary. Libraries began removing the chains. By the 1700s and 1800s, most chained books had disappeared. New libraries allowed people to borrow books and take them home. the age of chained books slowly came to an end. Today, chained books are very rare, but they have not disappeared completely. Some old libraries still keep chained books as part of history. These libraries protect them carefully as historical treasures. Visitors can still see chained books in places like old churches and museums. These books remind us of a time when knowledge was precious and hard to create. Today, we carry books easily. We even read books on phones and computers. Millions of books are printed every year. It is hard to imagine a time when one single book needed a chain. But long ago, that chain was not a punishment. It was protection. It protected ideas, stories, and knowledge. The story of chained books teaches us something important. Knowledge has always been valuable. In the past, people used chains to protect books. Today, we use technology to store and share them. But the goal remains the same: to keep knowledge safe for future generations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Story of Simple Things TV for more simple stories. And tell us in the comments, what other strange objects from history should we explore next?